So let's talk about Monstrosities in D&D. This is a collection of some of the most famous D&D monsters in this category. Like, this includes owlbears still.
Yeah.
This includes lycanthropy.
Yeah. Rust monsters.
Which is new, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, that's the big change. So, yeah, rust monsters, which the art is fantastic because you're seeing how much we hate rust monsters in that illustration. Lycanthropy, let's talk about that. Let's talk about werewolves. Let's talk about weres.
So, before we dive in there, I think just for if people are wondering what the heck is this category?
Yeah, it's because it's got variety.
So the monstrosity category is the category for classic monsters, the chimera, the hydra, things that, in the storybook of, if it's not a dragon, specifically, or one of the other very distinctive creature types, it's like that classic monster is a monstrosity. And one of the few things that unites them is many of them were either crafted or distorted by magic.
Yeah.
So as you go through, you'll see that often the one thread that they have in common is like this creature, like with the owlbear was, a wizard did it.
Yeah.
Or this used to be another type of creature, but because of a curse, a plunging into this other plane of existence or something else, it became this other creature. And
like a lot of mutations, like almost like magical radiation in some cases, or experiments.
Or mythical creatures, like the guardians of the gods. I mean, this is the category for like Medusas, for hydras, for basilisks, like those sort of mythological creatures, things that are animals with the special abilities, that are mashups of creatures, or something that could be a real creature, but just from some place you haven't been before.
Right.
And with that in mind, with that big vision for monstrosities, that this is the category of monster that was shaped by magic, whether again the magic of the gods or the magic of a mortal, or somehow mutated by magic. That is one of the big reasons why we moved were-creatures into this category. We previously had them as humanoids, and that was, as we reconsidered the creature types of everything in the monster manual, we realized that was a funny choice because, sure, the were-creatures all started as humanoids, but they're not humanoids anymore.
Right.
And we did that not only for story reasons, but for mechanical reasons, because there are a number of things in the game that specifically affect only humanoids, and we did not want those things affecting were-creatures.
Right.
Because were-creatures, part of what's special about them is they're now strange.
They're other.
They're other. Part of often a lot of classic were-creature stories is one of the first hints that something is off is the person might look human or some other type of humanoid, but things are weird around them.
Yeah, things don't apply. Like, like a dog classically growling person. A whole person maybe not doing what it should be doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they now are in this category, and they have all been redesigned. One of the big changes for all of the were-creatures is the curse that they apply is now inside each stat block. It used to be that the were-creatures would apply what was called the curse of lycanthropy, and then you would need to go look elsewhere in the monster manual to find out what the heck that did.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that anymore. Each were-creature stat block tells you what happens if you are the unfortunate recipient of that curse. And that is a common theme in the book where we looked for places to make the DM's life easier by folding information that used to exist outside the stat block into the stat block. We did the same thing with the best lair actions. Many of those have, with creatures that have lairs, those actions are now inside those creatures' stat blocks, often with the requirement that the creature be in the lair to use that action. So again, with the were creatures, DMs, you don't have to go hunting to find out, well, what happens if this person got bit by the werewolf? All the information you need for that is in the stat block.
I feel like monstrosities have existed in mythology for so long simply because that's the easiest thing to do early on in our culture is to, this monster, let's slap them together and see how it works.
Right.
Well, there's definitely so many mythical creatures in this, but there's so many creatures that are mythic in a D&D sense as well, that are just legendary D&D creatures, like mimics, rust monsters, sturges. Like, all of these are so, if you rattle off what's a D&D monster, you're going to say dragon. But past dragon, some of these monsters are like some of the oldest and some of the most storied D&D monsters. What there are, I mean, the mimic with just like, here's a chest, but it's going to eat you, comes out of this category.
And we talked about this before, but the art really thoroughly explains it doesn't just have to be a chest.
Yes.
Like, turning anything into a mimic is incredibly fun. You can turn a house into a mimic, a closet, an outhouse.
Absolutely.
It doesn't. I turned a boat once into a mimic for fun.
I'm going to sit here for a moment in existential dread of the outhouse mimic.
Yeah.
I generally don't use
It's not good.
so
It's literally not a good way to go.
Shame on you, sir.
But that is one of the things where one of the challenges of creative, like being a DM and like having that sort of creative breadth, or like a mimic can be anything. That's sort of paralyzing. That's just sort of like, wow, anything.
Yeah.
And you just sort of get stuck there in many cases. Yeah. This was a case where, for the mimic, I love this particular page of the monster manual, not just because it gives you the mimic, which is just great and a ton of fun, but then the art for it. We wanted to show you the mimic as chest, but then in that piece you'll see the mimic as chair, as portrait, as this, as that, as the other thing. And then even in the narrative text, we describe to you, okay, a mimic can turn into these things, but let's just give you a list of just sort of like, here's some things a mimic might turn into. And like some of them are quirky, some of them are fun, some of them are funny, but then some of them are sort of terrifying. So we really hope to, now that we've sort of got some of these idea starters to DMs, that DMs will be like, yeah, I like that, and that, but wouldn't this be messed up?
People are also going to see some monsters similar to the were creatures that used to be in other categories that have also moved over to the monstrosity category. And so, for instance, quaggoths used to be humanoids, even though they are, again, a distorted version.
Very distorted, yeah.
And so now quaggoths are rightly in the monstrosity category, and the base quaggoth has been joined by the quaggoth thonot. This is another example of where we took something that was a suggested variant in the 2014 Monster Manual and turned it into a brand new stat block here. You'll even find Kenku. The Kenku stat block in the Monster Manual is also now in the monstrosity category because, again, this is the category for things that used to be something else and were cursed or transformed into this current place. Now, there are a few other creatures in the book that also used to be something else and got transformed, but are in other categories because of the specific origin involved. Here I'm thinking specifically of gnolls, where gnolls now are in the fiend category.
Which makes a lot of sense.
Rather than in the monstrosity category. And so you will see a number of creatures where they're in this category where their story and their creature type now make more sense. And, as is the case throughout the book, and that, like I described with the quaggoth, where before there was just one, there's now two. Like another example of this in the monstrosity category is the cockatrice. Before there was just the wee little cockatrice.
Yeah.
Well, we also wanted a higher CR and more terrifying one that isn't chicken size. And so now we have the cockatrice regent, which is quite large and can wreck you. and so there, you know, again, with the axebeak, we have the regular axebeak, but we also have a giant axebeak. You're going to have a lot of fun options to play with as you look in this category of classic monsters.
I still remember Chris realizing as he was looking through the book, oh, one of the most powerful petrifying effects in the monster manual now comes out of this giant-sized cockatrice.
Yes.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
This also includes like some fan favorites like the Doppelganger Displacer
Yes.
Beast. What is it about the Displacer Beast that is like so beloved? I mean, it even made it into the movie.
It's also one of the monsters that have been in the game since the beginning. And you mentioned this earlier, Wes, that many of the monsters in this category have been in the game since the first edition monster manual. And in fact, I bet if we went through the different creature type categories, with the exception of, maybe like dragons and giants, most of those creatures have also been in there since the first edition monster manual. But I bet the monstrosity category it's in the running at least as having among the most creatures that go all the way back to the first monster manual. You're going to see, as you go through the list, I mean, the harpy is in this category. So many classic monsters, not only from D&D, but from real world folklore, are here in this category. All of them also tuned up, like we have done with dragons, undead, and all of the other creature types, with new functionality, ways that we could also make the monsters easier to use in play. Even we mentioned the rust monster earlier because of the art showing it doing what it does, which no one wants to have done to their stuff, to have it rusted away. But even the rust monster's functionality has again been tuned up to make it a bit easier for the DM to use and play.
This also has some of the biggest heavy hitters in D&D. We've got the Trask is a monstrosity. The Kraken is a monstrosity.
And the Tarask is the highest CR creature in the book.
Yeah.
And the Tarask and the Kraken are both Titans. We talked in our overview video for the book that there are more Titans in the book, but the monstrosity category is the sort of home category for some of the most classic Titans, which makes sense because, again, a Titan is a creature that has been shaped or created by godly magic.
I mean, this includes our Fey spiders, our griffins, like you said, the harpy, the hook horror, which I've always hated, in a nice way. The Tricrine, which I always loved.
Umber Hulks are in there.
Umber Hulks are in here. Yuan-Ti, it's probably one of the more diversified categories of monsters in D&D. But it makes sense for all of these to be here. There's a primeval owlbear. Is that new?
That's brand new.
Tell me about the primeval owlbear.
So the primeval owlbear, in some ways, could be the mascot for the monstrosity section. Because
if it was a football team.
Yes, because we've taken the owlbear, which already could be the mascot for the monstrosity creature type. And what we wanted was an owlbear that was more powerful so that you could meet owlbears at higher CRs. But then we also had some fun where in our initial design of the primeval owlbear, which is a CR7 owlbear, we had given it a sort of glide functionality so that, unlike a regular owlbear, it could actually jump off out of a tree or a cliff and sort of glide down to safety, almost with a feather fall-like quality. But as we developed the monster, we realized we could actually get the same functionality of it can glide down from a height by giving it a fly speed. But then we thought, wouldn't it be just a delight to give a creature a fly speed of 5 feet? and so the primeval owlbear is the banner creature for anyone who's just learned to fly. So this is the owlbear that is
so sad.
That is sad and adorably flapping its wings, and so yes, with its 5-foot fly speed.
It's a huge monstrosity, so it's a big guy. It's not going to go fast.
Don't laugh for long. As soon as those feet hit ground.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
So this fly speed is obviously not for most tactical purposes.
Yeah.
And this was on purpose because this was not designed to be a creature that's flying around the battlefield. No, it's largely there for story reasons that, if it needs to leap out of, off a cliff or out of a tree and like halt its fall with some flight, this creature can do that. And if it hilariously wants to fly a great distance, yes, it can. And our joke has been that, yes, if for some reason a herd of primeval owlbears wanted to fly long distance, the guards...
Like buffalo going over a cliff.
Yes, but the guards in the watchtower would see, oh my gosh, there's something coming on the horizon. You come back a week later, you look through your spyglass again.
It's still on its way.
It does not seem to have gotten any closer.
Still terrifying, though.
And if those guards aren't paying attention on the top of that watchtower, it can get them.
Yeah,
exactly.
I actually love that. And this includes purple worms, which I always have a fondness for.
Absolutely.
Do they still poop gems?
Pooped. Let's not get into the details of what is passing.
What does it poop?
What you do in your campaign is completely up to you. You are the DM.
You and your players, sir.
We do not spend a lot of time on the scatological details of the monsters in the book. We leave that for your pleasure.
Just checking.
And you absolutely can still end up inside a purple worm.
100%. So maybe you're players.
And that might be the players may be the poop.
Yes.
And we've got bullets and we've got bullet pup.
Yes. We wanted to have a smaller bullet that was speedier and vaguely cute, but also terrifying, and that led to us creating the bullet pup.
This is kind of a theme, actually, in this monster manual. There's a little bit, because there's parts where we just had the dragon video come out, and people argued against this concept. We said, like, some of these wormlings are not cute, and people are like, no, still cute. Deadly, but cute. And that's the new kind of category that we're seeing emerge here, are things that will actively melt your face off, but also cute.
Yes.
Well, it's also reflected in the name, because we went back and forth on what do we call the little bullets, because it's like, we could do juvenile bullet or whatever have you, but we decided to riff off of the land shark idea, where it's just like, all right, well, what do they call young sharks? We looked it up, and sure enough, a young shark is called a pup. And there we go.
And it can eat you.
And it can eat you. And it's a shark.
And I guess one of the most iconic is the Drider. The Drider is included in this category as well.
Absolutely, because again, it follows the meta story of creatures that have been created or transformed by magic. And a Drider is an elf who has been distorted by the magic of Lolth into its new form, and the Drider has been redesigned. We have given the Drider a number of new abilities, so that the Drider is now going to be terrifying both up close and at range with some new magical abilities.
God, I really do hate Driders, though. Like, there's a human body, a human half on top of a spider, just... like, it makes me ick right now, to this day. I've been dealing with these monsters for like 30 years. I'm still very uncomfortable with Driders. But yeah, what is the charm of Monstrosities, do you think?
They are storybook monsters.
Yeah.
And so many storybook monsters kind of get at this archetype of nature going sideways.
Yeah.
Things combining in ways that you would not expect, that feel unnatural, which can lead to both terrors, but also things that then once they're combined, it's like, oh, it's kind of cute, which that's part of the charm of the owl bear, because many of us like bears and we like owls. And so the owl bear is like the Reese's peanut butter cup of monsters. It's two things I like. But then you have other monsters like the Drider, where it's a combination of a humanoid and a spider, and it's terrifying.
Yeah.
And so I think this category is ripe with that. The Yuan-Ti, which is also a type of monstrosity, another scary one. Humanoids combined with snakes. And what's interesting is when you look at this category, and I think you could do a psychological study on this. Often the ones that are most terrifying are the ones that are part humanoid, because it feels closer to us. Whereas I think the ones where some of us like have stuffies are more just, it's two types of animals put together, and I like both those kinds of animals. Like the griffin is an example of that.
You should be scared of an owlbear, but like consistently party members will try to befriend an owlbear.
Well, I mean, but this goes to an interesting human thing in general. We should also, in life, all be terrified of simply bears.
Yeah.
Yes. But think about the human draw to having, like, giving children teddy bears. Like, we have as a species, a fascinating connection with certain animals that sometimes are animals that are super dangerous, and the bear is a great example of that. But yeah, for whatever reason, it's like, yeah, give me one. I mean, I have a stuffed owl bear at home. I do not have a stuffed Drider, though.
Missed opportunity.
Now, it's a creature that's not in this book, but I do have to bring it up just because of the obsession, and this is a personal story, and maybe this won't be in this video, but my wife Megan's obsession with Spider Horse is ridiculous. It showed up in Dragon magazine a long time ago. It was one of those random creatures. Like they had a whole category of extra monstrosities. No one should have liked Spider Horse. She is obsessed with Spider Horse to the point I had to give her the Dragon magazine edition, the original one. And even the person who invented it reached out because she kept on tweeting about Spider Horse so much. Like, that is the level of obsession people have with just combining.
Yes.
Because no one asked for a Spider Horse.
Well, we also all have, of course, different types of creatures that appeal to us in the real world, and then ones that don't. Like, I know many people are terrified of spiders, whereas it sounds like Megan and I are similar. Like, spiders don't scare me. In fact, as a kid, I would have spiders like crawl in my hand.
No, that's the messed up thing. She's scared of spiders.
Oh,
it doesn't. If you slap horse on anything, I guess it's not scary. Like horse shark. I don't know. It just
I catch spiders and put them outside so no one will squish them.
No. No. I used to love spiders, but I used to have a greenhouse where I lived on a farm, and I captured this really cool spider. And I had this cool little glass cage, but the lid didn't screw on. It was just a lay down thing.
Oh.
And I fed it. I'm not a psychopath, but and then I looked it up, and it's a black widow.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
And
good
so
times.
I just put that in the corner of the room and left it there. And then many years later, I finally cleaned it out because I had so much terror of this cage.
Yeah.
It was not in it.
Todd, it's hunting you to this day.
Probably inside me for some body horror. Just crawling around at night.
And that, everyone, was our video
Or
on
maybe
monstrosities.
it's just waiting in the backyard like one day, buddy. All right, thank you, everybody. That was our video on monstrosities. Totally on the rails. Thank you so much for watching this video. We will have a ton more videos all about the different monsters in the new Monster Manual. You can purchase the brand new Monster Manual and all 3 of the Core 2024 Core Rulebooks by clicking on the link in this video description. I'm Todd Kenrick. Thank you so much for watching.